Right, so I have just arrived here. This is like the before the causeway. Right there is the causeway that goes to Lindensfarne, and this car's driving down it at the moment. But I spoke to this guy and he says that the tide is coming in. But I wanted to walk, so he said that it's a long way to walk. But looking at it here, the castle to me looks like it's no more than 2-hour walk from where I am. To me, I'm quite good at distances. So I think I might park here and walk maybe after the tide has gone back out about 3 o'clock. It is 11:11 now, funnily enough. Holy Island, 11:11. And I'm thinking of parking here and sleeping here, I think. Because if I go, it's only a 15-minute walk to the castle. It's not really an adventure, is it? A 15-minute walk to the castle. I want to walk the course, I've decided. That's what I'm going to do. So this is the view of the surrounding areas. So we've got Holy Island, there's the causeway. The road finishes here, and there's the causeway that gets covered with the tide. The castle's right down in the distance over there. So we've come from that direction. Bamber Castle, right down there, I think you can see it. Just me here. Outside the window it says, warning, this could be you. Please consult the timetable. So this guy was obviously testing out his Suzuki 4x4 and got stuck. If that photo is real, look at that. So everybody, this is the monastery here at Lindensfarne Island. And then we've got the church right next to it as well. I think the monastery was classed as the priory, and this was dissolved. You know, when King Henry VIII, this is dissolution of the monasteries, when he tried to burn all of the evidence and the knowledge and so much of what happened in our history. This is what King Henry VIII did. In my opinion, the story is not accurate when he talks about he had problems with his wife and he wanted the divorce. That's just a story. His real reason, he was someone in power, probably a king that shouldn't have been a king, and he used that as an excuse to get rid of the knowledge of the old world. Got a structure in the corner of the churchyard, and I'm certain with my experience now going to Sacred Springs that this was originally a spring. It's clear to me. Right next to the church. There always will be a spring right next to the church and the monastery and priory. Okay, now I've just come across some really good information. It's not the information itself, it's how I'm linking the information that's not told here in the narrative. So apparently the monks of Iona. Now Iona is a sacred island in Scotland. It's sacred because it's one of it's on multiple ley lines, like really powerful earth energies, and it's an ancient place. Iona, it's famous for being so ancient and powerful. And so the monks of Iona, it says in this church, sent Aidan, the monk that was trying to convert people to Christianity, here. He sent him here. Okay, so where's the link that I'm thinking of is I've looked at a map and I'm going to put it just at the left hand side of this picture so you can see it. There's a ley line that goes directly from here to Iona, linking these two places together. So why would the monks of Iona send him right over here? There's more to the story than we've led to believe. There's much more to the story, and the story is going to blow people's minds if they know. Because they knew of the connection between these areas of land, and the narrative only talks about Christianity all the time because we're still a Christian society, so we're always going to favour Christianity. But what about this island is apparently famous for, you know, bringing Christianity into the country, but what was here long before Christianity? The ley lines were always here, the energy was always here, and the people who were connected to this energy, the true old world, understood this energy. And this is what they're not telling us about places like this. They understood the ley lines, the original inhabitants of the Britons, the Celts, King Arthur's people, and way before then understood that. So this is a statue of Saint Aidan holding a Celtic cross, funnily enough. That's not a Christian cross. So apparently he was preaching Christianity, but that's not a Christian cross. It has the circle in the middle, which is the elements of in my opinion, it's the elements and my research, the earth, fire, water, and wind, and you have Great Spirit, which is what binds it all together, the circle. And that is Christianity then changed that and took away the circle. But this guy's still got the circle, and that is the original Celtic cross. If you type in Celtic cross compared to Christian crosses, you'll be able to find that out. So I don't want to offend, any Christians that are watching my videos, but we have to get to the truth somehow. And Christianity, I've talked about this before, there were so many times when you talk about converting them and curing illnesses, curing, evil and stuff like that when they came over. In my opinion, and I've talked about this in my Cornwall trip, part 4 I think it was, or part 3 maybe, this way of talking about it, curing the sick, curing the evil, it's a way of curing what was already here. They thought the people in tune with the land, the way they were living, was against what they wanted to bring, and this is my opinion, because if we think about what happened in our recent times, with in the events in 2020, people that went against this narrative were called sick, were called mentally unstable. And this has happened so much in our history with all of if you research the orphan trains and the great resets around that time, the orphanages that were set up, this is because there's something that happened when all these mental asylums were getting put in, people were getting put in these mental asylums, kids were separated from the parents. There's big splits going on around 1800s because people were questioning things. And there's so much going on, there's so much that has gone on, that it's been hidden and that it's coming to truth now. Again, I just want to clarify that I do not think that all parts of Christianity are bad. That's just what I just need to say that. But Christianity was the thing that came in to kind of eradicate, amongst other things, amongst much more, but it eradicated the knowledge that the original inhabitants of the British Isles, and kind of Christianity, the term Christianity in general, came after the people that already were here and that were already, even not just in England but throughout Europe and even the world, these people had this knowledge about nature, about the true magic of the universe, how reality works, and there's something that happened, including the periods like Christianity coming in, where the structure of how people thought slowly began to change. And it'll probably happen, maybe something similar to what happened in the 1800s when the kids were forced to go into schools, conditioning camps, and the parents, they were separated so much of the time that there was so many orphans. If you look into that, why was there so many orphans in the 1800s? So they got these kids, shipped them out all over the world and educated them. Educated meaning conditioned them out of the truth into the new conditioned society. And that is what I feel happened multiple times in our history. But yeah, it is a little bit of speculation. A lot of the time my channel is based on truth, and I feel this happened. Truth comes from feeling. We're trying to get to what happened so that this doesn't happen again, so we can understand the truth again and come back to that knowledge that we had before all the manipulation came. This age is the age of truth. Now, what's the holiest part of this island for me is the wildlife, is the way that you've got the sea and then you've got the causeway and then you've got like the marshy area. It's such a incredible habitat for all sorts of creatures, all sorts of birds especially. And yeah, it's got an amazing feel all around this coastline, from Bamber to here. It's such a unique landscape. I am in love with this landscape. Now, perhaps the Christian saints had good intentions. I'm not saying that they don't. Saint Aidan, he was a conservationist. He looked after the animals here, and apparently one of the first known conservationists. But there is a likelihood that a lot of these Christian saints, because of my research, didn't have the best of agendas, or were so caught up in this new dogma they wanted to force everybody else into it. Maybe maybe they did believe so much in it, and great, you know, they believed in something and they wanted to preach it, maybe. Or maybe it was a purposeful agenda that they wanted to try and get rid of the purity of nature and the connection, and they didn't understand the people that were living the ways that the druids were living. They didn't understand that, and they wanted a new setup, a new controlled way of living, and this is what the church brought in. So enough talking negative. I'm going to blow your mind with the truth of why this place is called Holy Island, or at least some of it. You know, I have to admit there's a lot I don't know, but I'm going to blow your mind about the ley lines that run through this place. I'm going to put some pictures to show you, because there's a stone circle called Arbor Low in the Peak District, one of the most powerful stone circles in the whole of the UK, and this stone circle, Arbor Low, has been destroyed. You know, places like Stonehenge have kept intact, you know, for a variety of reasons. That's for another video. But Arbor Low has been destroyed, and Arbor Low has 5 main ley lines running through it, and one of which goes through Martin Mere, which is where I'm from, which is the connections to King Arthur in the northwest. One goes near enough right through Lindisfarne, right through Holy Island, Arbor Low. If you look Arbor Low up, it's in the Peak District near Bakewell, and we've featured it in the Prophecy of Albion documentary. But also, not only that, like I've said, the ley line also goes from here, another ley line, this time from here, and it creates a grid to Scotland, and then it joins to Scotland, the grid of ley lines in Scotland, and this one goes to the Isle of Iona. So there's multiple ley lines, possibly so many more, you know, either finishing at this place or even starting from this place. You know, and this is why it's so powerful, and this is the truth of what the original inhabitants knew about this place. And then this is why these people started to want to then take over this place. It's no coincidence that all of these civilizations and the Vikings wanted to come over and ransack the whole place, which they did. They ransacked the whole place and looted it and stole all the gold or whatever. There's no coincidence that they target places of specific earth energy. They weren't blind to this. They understood, they probably understood that at a certain level too, but the ones that were already here, there were so many pure ones that were trying to hold that energy. The ones that were already here were the guardians of that sacred energy, the energy of Albion, that so many people wanted to take for their own greed. This is what I feel, and through deep feeling and connection for the land. You know, you don't have to believe me, but you just have to, if you're interested, get out of, put your textbooks down, you know, get out onto the land. Maybe merge them together, take what you can from the textbooks and the mainstream narrative, and then do your own research. So this is the castle here at Lindisfarne. So it was in the year 634 AD that the monk Aidan came here on orders of King Oswald, who was connected to Bamber Castle, on orders of him to convert people to Christianity. And it says that, you know, Oswald himself was a monk in his own right. So they were both wanting to convert the people to Christianity. To go back to simplicity, you know, I've never been a reader of the Bible. I just follow nature. I just follow my own heart, nature, those who I love in this world, who I value. So many people put too much energy on books, you know, in terms of religion, and there is good bits in books like the Bible. You can take what you want from it, but I always say a book is written by a man, and a man or a woman can have agendas. Nature does not have an agenda. It is pure, and it comes from the purest essence, the purest truth that also lives inside your heart. But men's and women's hearts have been poisoned and manipulated, and how do we know that those poisoned and manipulated people haven't played a part in writing these books? Yes, there's been probably some pure stuff in those books too, but I've never felt like I'm missing anything by not reading the Bible. And from my years of going to these sites now, you can see clearly that wherever there's like a mound or a sacred spring, or there was a stone circle or an ancient site from the original old world, again, those that were the original inhabitants, of not just England, but say the original inhabitants of each country, not necessarily meaning always in terms of physical terms, original inhabitants holding that original consciousness, if that makes sense. This is for another video if that doesn't make sense, but holding that original consciousness means that pure essence of life before the manipulation and the deception and all of this deceiving went on. And this is clear because when I go around these sites, and then you go around the churches especially, the churches were then built as a stamp to say, look, we've taken over this way. And this is what the church did. This is literally what the church did. They were put on these sites because they knew about the energy too, so they were harnessing the energy with these structures. They were like energy harnessing structures a lot of the time. So they were put on these energies as a stamp. We're going to take this energy from this place. The original old world respected the energy. They used it in harmony with the natural world. The ones after wanted to take the energy. Just like what happened in Atlantis, if you've heard of the story of Atlantis, which I'm sure so many of you have. They fell out of balance with the natural world because they got too technologically advanced, and the gods themselves, Poseidon, wiped his own civilization out. So if you take what's truth in that story and take that story again, because it was definitely a true story, into the future civilizations, and that probably happened multiple times, and it's happening right now. You can see it with the controllers, and you can see it with the people that care about the land. There's so many people wanting to take, there's so many people with greed, there's so many people wanting to abuse the power as humans, because we can just chop down a tree and just plant a house there, plant a church there, put a stamp on it, we've taken over. But truly, deep down, the Mother Earth will always come back, just like in Atlantis, and can wipe their entire civilization out. But the reason that's not happened now is because the Creator has hope in us as humans, that there's so many of us regaining that conscious awareness that we are the pure beings deep down, and that we are regaining that awareness and that love for Mother Earth. So it says no overnight camping on Holy Island. No tents, no camper vans, no one in the car park, you know. You could probably park on the street somewhere, but it's nowhere decent enough to park. So I could go and listen to the rules. I could leave now, or I could stay and spend an entire night tuning into the land at Holy Island, and then sleeping, and then getting up and doing a hike. I think I know which one I'm going to choose. I'm going to stay here. You know, rules are made to be broken, but laws are there to stick to. There's a big difference between a law and a rule. You'll do well to remember that. Plus, it's not like I haven't done it about 20 times before in Cornwall. You can't park anywhere there. So I just had to like, well, if you can't park here and you can't park there, there's no way you can park in Cornwall. You just have to go against the rules. You've no other choice. They're making it so difficult for people that live in vans in Cornwall specifically, but in the UK. You know, it's apparently against the law in England to live in a van. Absolutely mad. So they don't want people to have freedom. Obviously we know that. But you just have to go against it if enough people do it. Plus, enough people do it and respect the land, don't leave litter and everything like that, making a bad name for people that live in vans, then there is no problem whatsoever. You use good quality washing up liquid too, so you're not poisoning the land, and you're putting your waste in the bins, or you're using biodegradable things, so you can just bury, you know, in a respectable place. You just have to be respectful. Right, look at this sunset, everybody. But if I zoom in, this bird right here, you probably won't be able to see it. The camera's not great when you zoom. But this is a curlew. Now, I've hardly seen any of them. I've seen them in big decline. You used to see a lot in the Trough of Bowland, the Bowland Forest near Lancashire, but this is great to see it here. I'm back here in the van now, spending the night. I've just had dinner and I'm going to venture out in the pitch black outside, so no one's gonna even know I'm camped here. Plus, like, the stars, I've not even looked properly yet, but I bet they're absolutely incredible tonight here because there's no light pollution. But I just want to just briefly just touch on the Christianity again, but he's saying it in like that originally Christianity, the root of Christianity was probably for a pure purpose. It was just an idea and a belief of the divine source, an expression that a lot of group of individuals believed was an expression of divine source. So I'll never go against Jesus. Jesus was probably, well, definitely a real figure. That was that hopefully, that I believe, had a pure heart, and he was doing a similar mission, serving the divine creator. But then over time, just like everything, Christianity and Jesus' story got manipulated because Jesus himself didn't want religion. What an incredible morning and sunrise on Holy Island. This is just magical. I think this has to be the best sunrise I've ever seen. Cannot actually go to see this castle at the moment. I think it opens on the 1st of March, which is only in about 4 days time actually. Now, this time last year I just bought my van, so it's been a year. So it just shows that one step of courage. I was like, oh my god, shall I buy this van, shall I not? I didn't even get it checked out. I've done this on my van life short film explaining it, but I didn't even get it checked out. I just had this song appear in my head. It was a song by Haven, a band called Haven, and it was a song that was on about trust and surrender. And I had that playing in my head, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I just paid £3,250 cash right on the spot. And without that trust, I wouldn't have seen Cornwall, I wouldn't have seen Wales, I wouldn't to be walking on Holy Island now, watching the sunset. That one choice in your life will change the course of your entire life and the way you live. Make it more clear, castles like these, they were not just built or just because they had a bit of a vantage point. They were built because these were originally sacred sites. They were sites of high earth energy. Maybe, just maybe, were people defending or controlling these earth energies? It's something to think about, and that's why they built these structures of attack or defense on these sites. I'm walking with these sheep. I'm their new shepherd. We're walking the lands of Holy Island together. I've been walking quite a long time now, and I've been wondering what this massive pyramid is. Expect when you come to a place like this, them to have some sort of narrative about it, but there's absolutely nothing as to why this is here. All that I can think of in my experience is obelisks like this. You mark energy lines once more. And this is right on the corner. I looked online and it says that this is a marker for ships to guide them into shore and was built in around 1801. So that's the mainstream narrative. I'm not saying it's wrong. It possibly is a function, definitely used as a function of it. But maybe there's another function. Again, just like the castles, they have multiple functions, multiple uses. It's amazing the difference in terms of feeling you get when you're on your own and it's early morning compared to yesterday afternoon when it was about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when it was quite busy in the village. And at night time last night, you know, and in early morning, you just get a true sense of what the island's about. When there's people, you don't. This is why going to places like the pyramids and like the Acropolis, I've not been to the pyramids by the way, but when I went to the Acropolis, but you can imagine people at the pyramids, you don't feel that what it's about when there's that many people. And I don't know if you remember at the start of the video I showed you there was this old spring that was in misuse at the other side of this monastery, and you can see like a ditch. There's a pheasant just gone over there making a racket. The water would have flowed around the structure. Again, it was all built on the principle of water. So really interesting. That is the old structure that I think is a spring from my research traveling around. And I spoke to this lady who lives here, and she obviously doesn't know that that was likely a spring, but she told me that there's a well right behind it, and it was dry now, but it is there. So it proves me right once more that they would pipe that from that well into the structure and then use the water. And she also said that there's a well near the farmhouse, and there's one inside the priory grounds as well. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant. So this is it. It's dry now. I thought I wouldn't be able to find it. I didn't know where she meant, but I've came across it now. It's called Jenny Bell's Well, and it's completely filled with stone. It's not one drop of water to be seen. But it's likely that this was the well, or maybe this was the well that spring in the church grounds was using. Thank you everybody for watching my video on Lindisfarne, Holy Island. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it's raised some questions for yourself to question our historical narrative and our reality in general. So yeah, I just had a magical time here. It's been an amazing morning today. That sunrise has just made my day. So it's clouded over now, as you can see outside the window. So I'm going to head off today. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I'll see you on the next video.